everybody, this is Tim W. Leathertachi Knights 96 and welcome to episode 11 of Godzilla FX. And this week we have Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster from 1971. Well, the real title for this movie is Godzilla vs. HEDORAH. And I will say, this is the most disgusting Godzilla movie I have ever seen. And I'm not meaning disgusting as in, oh, this movie sucks. No. Just look at the poster for this movie. Look at this poster. You look at that poster, and you look at the taglines. Pollution's hideous spawn. Venom blood slithering across the land. Poison slime in its wake. Yeah, tell me that doesn't sound gross. And you have the poor woman on the poster trapped under whatever the smog monster's made out of. Oh my god. There is a lot to say about the special effects in this movie. There is a lot. And this movie, I don't know, this movie is like a mix of, there is some horror in this movie. There is a lot of horror. Then there's like one kid in this movie that's like, why is there a kid in this movie? Like, why is he even in this? Like, once again, like the last movie, a child is like... the kid is not the main character. He's one of the 5 main characters, but I'm not talking about them. But, yes, the effects in this movie, there's a lot, and I'm telling you right now, there is... Oh my god, oh man, I'm sorry, I'm kind of speechless right now because the special effects in this movie are just, they're not awful, they're great, they're actually really great, but it's just a disgusting monster battle. It's just gross. I mean, seriously, you can lose your lunch by watching this movie. It's just so... oh god, it's nasty. Like, the smog monster, it's made out of... I mean, they say in this movie that... There's only 2 lines in the whole movie that explain, like, oh, the smog monster is an alien. Even though... I guess you can kind of... I guess when you look at it, you're like, yeah, I can believe it. But it's just like, oh my god, really? This thing's an alien? Seriously? And... just wait until I get to the slideshow here, because there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot to talk about with the effects in this movie. Monster suits, monster suits, props, and here we go with our very first shot. And these pictures are in order because I managed to find the Blu-ray shots for this movie. And here we go. Here's our first shot of Godzilla. And let me just turn up the brightness here. Here's our first shot of Godzilla against either the sunset or the sunrise. Now, he comes up to the sun here to some really silly music, like this jazzy kind of music. So it's like, huh, really? No deep, threatening theme song? It's like, at this point, Godzilla is a hero. I don't know, at this point, Godzilla's he's the savior of the planet this time. Like, Cinemassacre was right. He's sure definitely come a long way since he was the menace to society. Now, he's the savior of the planet. Now, as one can guess, this is the same suit, I'm guessing anyways, this is the same suit from Destroy All Monsters and Godzilla's Revenge. And once again, I really do like the suit. I really do like the shot, actually. I don't know why, but silhouetted, well, he's not silhouetted, obviously, but when something is shot against either a sunset or a sunrise, I really love the effect of this. Like the lighting and everything. It's a really nice first appearance. And once again, the detailing on the suit is really good. It's, like I said, way better than Son of Godzilla. Way better. And actually, it's actually better than even Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. But those movies were a while back. Oh yeah, nothing much I can really say more about this particular shot here. Just wait until we get to the screenshots of HEDORAH itself. It's a weird creature. it goes through different stages throughout the sorry, it goes through different stages throughout the film, and it's just, oh god, it I'm just kind of speechless right now until we get to the shots of HEDORAH, because this movie's like the absolute most disgusting monster battle I've ever seen, man. Slime, slime, more slime. Oh god, that's in, sewage and sludge. Mainly it's sludge. Oh my god. And one thing I do have to say about the smog monster, the fact that the creature's an alien is like, okay, that's kind of, okay, that's a little out there. Um, and at the same time, though, it's like there's a lot of science that they explain with the smog monster in the movie. A lot of science. And here we go. This is a scene, okay, this is where this is where HEDORAH, at first it was shaped like a giant tadpole in the water when it was swimming in the water, and then it comes on land and takes the shape of a four-footed lizard type shape, this quadrupedal stance, and automatically before the smog monster even shows up, there's a lot of shots in the movie where it shows polluted waters, like in Tokyo Bay or something like that, or Sagami Bay. I don't know if those were location shots or those were actually what do you call, I can't, yeah, like sorry, I don't know if those were location shots or those were done on a set, but overall they really get the point across in showing what us humans do to the planet. And that effect, it really gets the point across like right at the start of the movie. And then you got HEDORAH here, and this is where he drinks industrial smoke. Like, he's in this scene here, he's actually feeding right now. And it's just so weird when you look at it. I can see why that this thing's an alien, because look, it doesn't have a mouth. Its mouth is under, like, I guess where the smoke is going up, and in its back there's these huge sacs that start to inflate as he's doing this. And look at his eyes. His eyes are pointed up instead of they're vertical instead of sideways. And it's just the monster design. I really do love the design of the suit. It's really well detailed, actually, and there's some close-ups of it here in a little bit. But when you look at this thing, it's like, what are you? And it drinking the smoke, I wonder how they even did that without hurting the suit actor. Either this thing was a prop or a puppet or something, but if this was the suit, I hope the suit actor didn't get health problems. And you see like some miniature effects work here in this shot, and the miniature effects, I guess it's pretty decent. I guess it's pretty decent. Like scenes that take place at nighttime, the miniature sets for some reason at nighttime they look better than in the daylight. Because I guess in the daylight you can see the cheesiness in the daylight. But this movie, there are only 2 effects cons with this film. But we are not going to get into those yet. Or let me look at what I have. Let me look what I have written down here. What do you call? Let me look at what I have written down here. Oh, and here we have the detail of the suit. And what's so funny is, you ever notice HEDORAH's eyes are like really red now? I guess like his eyes glow. He just looks pissed. I mean, HEDORAH just looks really pissed off. And here you get to see the detailing of this suit. And it's got all these little wrinkles and all kinds of mess in it. Whatever, I think this is made of like solid latex or something, however they made this suit, but it looks really scary. Like for 1971, this movie, the suit, oh god, it's like when it looks at you, you better start running, because just looking at it now after watching the movie is like, oh god, talk about staring into your soul. Let's see here. Yep, we're not at that point yet in this video to discuss my only 2 effects cons. Like seriously, there's little to no flaws with the effects, and it's just so crazy though how, I mean, was his? I guess like I don't know if Hedorah was supposed to be designed this way or his eyes were supposed to go sideways and they ended up horizontal. But I don't really care about that. It's like just looking at this, it's different. This is something like that Gamera would fight. Seriously, this is so very out there, like Gamera kind of out there. But this is a Godzilla movie, folks. If you guys want me to start doing the Gamera films, fine. If you want me to do a second series called Gamera FX, put it in the description below then. Because I have every single movie in the franchise. Well, almost every single movie in the franchise. I don't have Gamera the Brave, but we're not talking about the big turtle. We're talking about the real king of the monsters here. So yeah, it's just so weird that it's just eyes and just this thing looks very H.P. Lovecraft-ish. This thing reminds me of something out of a Lovecraftian story, because the way it looks, like it's got eyes, and then it just looks like it's just a giant mass of tentacles and flesh, like as common with Lovecraftian creatures. Like this is definitely what this thing reminds me of. And the fact that it comes from space, and the fact that, oh my god, I just came to that realization. This thing comes from space. It's a solid mass. HEDORAH comes from space. It kills people. It really kills people. And it's a mass of tentacles and flesh. Huh. Wow, I actually just came to that realization. And here we go. There's a nice face-off. And what's so funny is, see, look at that. Even from this angle, right here, the HEDORAH looks very Cthulhu-ish. Now, what's so funny about this particular scene is, like, you see how much smaller HEDORAH is compared to Godzilla. This is actually the first movie where Godzilla's fought somebody that's bigger than him. And I'm sorry, what's just so weird about this fight is that you don't see no damage caused by the monsters, right? There's no damage at all. Like Godzilla steps on that there's that wooden pile of logs there in the middle. He steps on like one of them, but that's it. There's literally no damage caused by the monsters during this fight, and yet the very next day there's a newscaster that says that like 81 people were killed and 31 people were injured and 300 buildings were destroyed by these two, which doesn't make any sense because they didn't even destroy anything. I mean, I guess there's one bit. Okay, I'm sorry. HEDORAH did destroy like one thing in this whole movie, and it's just this scene where, and this is where the nasty horror effects comes in, like. Wherever HEDORAH goes, I guess like its body fluid is like acid, because whenever people get touched by this thing, they decompose immediately. Like there's this bit where Godzilla grabs HEDORAH by his tail and he throws him into this one, like, I guess underground casino or something, where these guys are playing not backgammon or mahjong or something like that, or some poker game, Japanese poker game. And all of a sudden, HEDORAH flies through the building, and the next shot it goes to, there's somebody's head is in one corner, and there's shots of body parts all over the place. Oh my god, it's like, oh god. You're looking at this movie and it's like, oh my god. I guess this is Toho's meant to, I guess, cash in on the success of horror movies from back then, because there's a lot of this. HEDORAH has a super high body count in this movie. Like it's like, okay, there's like 4 or 5 guys in this room, and they all just get turned into body parts when HEDORAH flies through the room after Godzilla throws him, and it's like, oh god, it's like, oh my god, it's really gross when you look at it. And then I think like right before this, then there's Godzilla's famous atomic breath, and it's kind of green. Usually it's blue, but I guess it's like a bluish green kind of color. Well, there's even one scene in a dance club where a part of HEDORAH slides down the stairs, and it smothers the stairs in sludge. And I couldn't get a screenshot of this, but there's this poor cat, and super adorable, and it's smothered in the sludge. Like, how did that thing survive? I can't believe they did that to a cat. I can't believe they did that. It's gross. This poor kitty is just on the stairs, and he's all covered in shit, basically. It is just disgusting. And then right here, this is where the science behind HEDORAH comes in. It's where they say that HEDORAH's body is made of minerals. And when Godzilla shoots his atomic breath at it, all these sparks start covering his body. And they say, like, yeah, minerals do discharge electricity. So being covered in sparks is not really unusual. But it's like, when you first see it in the movie, it's like, huh. Well, that's an interesting effect that Godzilla has on HEDORAH. And right here, it's like when Godzilla punches him, like, super hard. And HEDORAH crashes to the ground, and all this sludge starts pouring out of his body and covers the street. It's just, oh my god! Like I said, the effects in this movie are just. I mean, I already know my score for this. I already know my score for this movie, but I'm not going to reveal that until the very end of this video. So hey, no spoilers. I know in the last video, I think I gave my score early. I think I gave it early in the last video, but this time, nah, I'm gonna wait till the end of the video. And it's just so funny, like Godzilla interacting with HEDORAH. It's just he walks up and he just, I don't know. It's like you look at this and you're like, how does Godzilla know how to do this? But Godzilla, he just loves shooting at his enemies. He just loves shooting at everybody. And the effect for the sparks is actually really good. And there's a point where where HEDORAH gets back on his in this stage, this is stage 2, when he gets back on his 4 feet and Godzilla shoots at him again. And more sparks start erupting all over HEDORAH, and HEDORAH just stands there. He just stands there and takes it. Now, you can tell those were like little sparks detonated all over the suit, and again, I can't believe the suit did not get damaged. Like, the thing about the monster suit is that, well, the suits of these movies is that they can take a hit. Whatever they make these suits out of, they can take a punch. Which is super good. Because that's, oh god, here's another bit of, this kind of reminds me of Ghost Rider from the first movie, you know, look into my eyes. Like, seriously, just look at that. And this is during the second monster battle, where HEDORAH turns into this thing where it looks like a flying saucer, and here he is, like, eating cars, and I guess there's people under those cars. I know the two of the main characters escape because, why? Because movie logic, because for the sake of the movie, and it's just munching, like, eating cars or something like that, or whatever it's doing with these cars. I don't know. It just does this, and it's the scene. This shot lasts for like literally about 15 seconds, and you're like, okay, what is he doing? And this monster battle here, when HEDORAH turns into the flying saucer, they explain that he because of all the industrial smoke that he's been eating, he can fly with his own version of his own nuclear power stored in his body. And when he flies above people, he shoots out sulfuric acid mist out of his underside, and people suffocate and die. Literally, every time you see HEDORAH flying over, and it's not just one person, it's a crowd of people. It's a whole crowd of people in each shot, and you see people just, oh god, there's one effect where this one guy, he suffocates and his whole face turns inverted colors, and he just, oh god, it's just like, whoa, hey, what is this? And then there's this other bit where I couldn't get screenshots of this, sadly, but whenever the little kid runs around, he sees just piles of bones in the streets. There's bones and just bones and dried blood all over the walls and the streets. It's, oh my god, like this movie has a body count, like a seriously high body count with HEDORAH here, and it's like, oh, with the smog monster, it's like, oh my god. It makes you wonder what planet, and they said like he lives in somebody said in the movie that HEDORAH lives in a world where no earthly creature can exist, and when you look at what this thing does, how it eats, what he looks like, it's like, oh my god. There ain't no there ain't not even a dog can live on whatever planet he's from. Like, Jesus Christ me. And it's just so weird that in daylight it's silver. Like, he has a very his coloration is really interesting. Because at night he looks like black or dark green or something like that. And it's so funny how it's like he's silver. Oh yeah, here we go. This is the flying saucer. This is the flying saucer shape. And it's just so weird. He's painted silver, and I guess there's like some dark green there's some dark green here in his coloration, especially in like where his forehead, where it looks like his forehead is. And when Godzilla fights him, he like waves his arms everywhere and he tries to grab him. And when Godzilla throws him to the ground, there's this bit where there's like this POV shot. There's like a couple of POV shots from HEDORAH, and it's like Godzilla shoves his hand through HEDORAH, and it's like, wow, okay. And you just see stuff blowing up. Like I said, the special effects in this movie are really good. I mean, when HEDORAH flies, there's no cheesiness to it. But this comes to, when HEDORAH's in his flying saucer form, this actually comes to my very first special effects con in the movie, where when everybody starts dying, like right before Godzilla fights him, HEDORAH's already blowing stuff. Stuff's already blown up. An oil refinery was already has already exploded, and a lot of people are just getting killed left and right by suffocation, turning into bones or whatever. My first special effects con with this movie is there's a scene where HEDORAH, I guess he can go through stuff too, because there's this building that's like half finished and he just flies through it. He just flies right through it, and it's like, really? What do you mean stuff can go through you? What are you, a ghost or something? But when the building crumbles, there's no sound to it, there's just silence. There's no sound to this building getting destroyed. There's no soundtrack, there's just silence. Like, seriously, it's really odd. Every other building that gets destroyed, there's a soundtrack to it, or at least a sound effect, but this one building is just, nah. It kind of reminds me of Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, when the aliens destroy that big satellite dish, and there's no sound to that either. I know this is the second time that's happened in the Godzilla franchise here, and it's like, huh. Why? But and here you get to see more close-up of the suit of the HEDORAH. Well, this isn't a suit, this was a prop actually, but I do love the detailing on this thing. It looks like this thing looks like it's from outer space. Like, you can, like, if they hadn't have said that, they probably would have said that, oh, this thing is from, it's radiation mixed with pollution or whatever, and some tadpole got affected. They could have do all kinds of science, but they say, oh, he's just an alien. Like, and here we go. This is after Godzilla. If you look at his hand showing, it's covered in, it's silver, and that's after Godzilla tries to punch him, and his hand just sinks into HEDORAH's body, and he pulls his hand out, and it's like, okay. But once again, more great detailing on the Godzilla suit. And it's just so funny, like, I know he's supposed to be looking down, but his eyes are, like, not looking at HEDORAH. He's, like, looking at over there, like, wonder what's going on over there. But overall, Godzilla vs. HEDORAH, this was a really great Godzilla movie. And there's just some scenes where it's like, I guess when it shows people in how, like, the 1970s was, I guess Toho somebody from Toho had to have gone to America and saw what America was like in the 1970s and just said, let's put all that in this movie. And boy, do they. There's no smoking weed. This movie is just 70s, like again, it's like how Cinemassacre put it, 70s psychedelic exploitation. That's what this movie has. That's what this movie's chock full of, actually. And what was I? Ah, dang it! My inside out train of thought just stopped. It stopped like part way around the track here. Let me get my brain back in order here. Sorry, everybody. Oh, now I remember what I was saying. And it's just so funny how it's like they say, oh, people are dying because of sulfuric acid mist from HEDORAH, and yet Godzilla gets affected by it for a little bit before stuff blows up around him. Like, this is the first time we see Godzilla. Like, he really has his hands. He has his hands full trying to fight HEDORAH because people are getting killed. HEDORAH is almost tries to suffocate him and smother him, and HEDORAH just really tries to kill him. And it's just like, oh my god, dude. Godzilla really has his hands full with this movie because of all the carnage going on and all kinds of mess. And then the main highlight, it's just so cool that Godzilla fights HEDORAH like three times in this movie. He fights him first as a four-footed in HEDORAH's second stage, which is the quadrupedal form, and then you got the flying saucer form, and then the final form comes in, which I think is the very next screenshot, if I'm not entirely mistaken here. And the final form is huge compared to Godzilla. It is huge, and there's this one, oh, here we go. This is HEDORAH's final form right here. And if you ever notice in the shot, one of his eyes is out. And that's because Godzilla literally shoves his whole fist on the right side of HEDORAH's head, on the right side of HEDORAH's body, near his eye, and blinds him. Like, literally, they show this black goo or black smudge or sludge or something cover his eye and permanently close it. Like, I guess the black smudge is HEDORAH's blood. I guess HEDORAH has like black blood or something like that, and he blinds HEDORAH in one eye. And then these two really duke it out. Godzilla and HEDORAH, they just beat the crap out of each other. It reminds me, it's like a more disgusting version of the fight between Godzilla and King Kong. It's like these two just really go at it. And even HEDORAH shoots lasers out of his eyes, which is very, okay. Alright, that's okay. That's kind of random. And this brings me actually to my second effects con. There's a scene where Godzilla gets knocked over during this final battle, and he tries to get back up, but his head is leaning a little to the left a little too much, and it's like they could have straightened it out real quick when they noticed this. It just looks weird that his head is leaned a little too. It looks too puppetish. They could have straightened his neck out, and those are my only two effects cons: the building and Godzilla's head during the final battle at one point. But one great effect, and I can't believe there wasn't a Blu-ray screenshot for this, where showing HEDORAH transform from his final form to the flying saucer form. It's like just this thing of bright colors and flashes. It's a really good effect when he does this, and they really try to show you how much of an alien he is, and how much alien HEDORAH is, and how much he does not belong on this planet. And everything about HEDORAH is it's really good. It's so, and especially, like I said, if you disagree with the Lovecraftian connection, he feels very Lovecraftian to me, now that I just came to that realization a little bit ago. He just, like, look at HEDORAH, he's just this giant black mass and of no mouth, that I can see anyway, but just this black mass of flesh and small tentacles or tendrils hanging off of him. It's just so out there. And I would not be surprised if I get pointed out in the comments that HEDORAH was inspired by Lovecraft, because look at this thing. What else could have inspired that? What else could have inspired that? And here, this is, oh god, this is where Godzilla, he kind of goes savage in this movie. And before I even mention that, he flies. There's the second oh my god moment in the Godzilla franchise is where Godzilla flies. He turns around and he shoots out his atomic breath and he spreads his arms out and he flies backwards by using his atomic breath. I got nothing to say about that. Just like the victory dance from Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, I have nothing to say about that. I'm gonna leave that alone. I am going to leave that moment alone. Sucks I could not get a good shot of that, but I'm gonna leave that flying scene alone and leave that up to your opinions once you all go and watch this movie. Anyways, like I was saying, he goes savage in this movie. He really wants HEDORAH to die. He so wants him dead. He does everything to kill HEDORAH. He beats the crap out of him, and he beats him up, and then he gets him in between these electric current things, these electrodes they're called, and when he finds out that they can dry HEDORAH out, I mean, I guess in the movie, Godzilla figures these things out somehow. Like, I guess he was supposed to shoot at HEDORAH, and he misses, and he hits the electrodes, but then when the electrodes start kicking in, man, they dry HEDORAH out. They turn him to rock. Because apparently electricity can dry out sludge. I don't know if that's true or not. But when Godzilla does it, then he goes into HEDORAH's body, and he does this to him twice, because another smaller HEDORAH pops out, and Godzilla, when he flies and chases after him and brings him back and dries that one out too. And it's just like Godzilla rips HEDORAH apart. He shoves his hands in and throws sludge all over the place, then uses the electrodes to dry the sludge out and officially just finish HEDORAH off. This shot here is when he watches HEDORAH die, and it's like this pissed off look he has on his face right now. It's like he so wanted HEDORAH to just get killed already. And he does. He just murders him. And this is like he really just saves the world here. And then it's just so funny when the military uses the electrodes by power lines. They blow a circuit in like 5 seconds after using it, but when Godzilla shoots at the electrodes go into like overdrive, and they work like they're supposed to. It's just super weird. But when HEDORAH gets dried out, let me just get back all the way to the poster here. When HEDORAH gets dried out in the movie, it's a good effect. Like I said, the special effects in Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster, they're great. With the exception of the two cons that I mentioned, I'm giving this movie, effects-wise, this movie gets a solid 10 out of 10, because this movie gets a good 10 out of 10, because the explosions are amazing. HEDORAH's and there's one point I didn't mention where Godzilla falls into this pit and HEDORAH just dumps all this sludge all over him, and Godzilla gets covered in, oh god, oh god, Godzilla just gets covered in sludge and crap. It's a really disgusting scene. But overall, Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster, like I said, gets a solid 10 out of 10 for me, because the effects are great, the explosions are great, HEDORAH, all the effects involving HEDORAH look amazing. So yeah, those are all my thoughts on the film, and please not only subscribe to this channel, but the movie reviews library, and also my buddy Magus Dragon. He made the logo at the beginning of this. So yeah, please subscribe to all three here. Peace out, everybody, and I will see you next week with the next Godzilla film in this franchise. So yeah. And my recommendation, if you're a diehard Godzilla fan, please watch Godzilla vs. HEDORAH. If you're a diehard Godzilla fan, push through the franchise like I'm doing, alright? Just keep on pushing through. It's a great movie. I'd suggest you watch it. Alright, take it easy, everybody. See you next week with the next Godzilla film. Peace out, everybody.